Good morning, my friends. Let me ask you something. Have you ever faced a moment in life where you felt completely lost? Like the weight of the world was pressing down on your chest, and no matter what you did, you couldn't seem to break free? Maybe you're in that place right now. Maybe you've tried everything. Hustling, grinding, planning every move, and yet you're still stuck, still struggling, still wondering, what's missing? I'm here to tell you the answer. Trust in God. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. That sounds great, but how do I actually do it? You see, trusting God isn't just a nice idea. It's a shift in the way you live, the way you see the world, the way you take action. And when you get this, when you really get this, we like to believe we're in control. We set our goals, we chase success, we build relationships, we do everything we think we should do. But what happens when life doesn't go according to plan? When the business fails, when the relationship crumbles, when the diagnosis comes? Suddenly we realize we were never in control to begin with. But guess what? God is. And that's not a reason to be afraid, that's a reason to be free. Because when you surrender the illusion of control, when you trust that God has a plan bigger than yours, you release fear, anxiety, and doubt. You step into faith. And faith, that's where the real breakthroughs happen. Faith creates powerful action. Some people think trusting God means sitting back and waiting for a miracle. That's not trust. That's passivity. Real trust fuels action. When you believe that God is guiding your steps, you stop hesitating. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop letting fear hold you hostage. Think about it. When a child jumps into their father's arms, they don't hesitate. They trust completely. They take the leap. That's the kind of trust we need to have in God. When you know He's got you, you start making bold moves. You step into opportunities. You take the risks that lead to rewards. 3, Dodd sees the whole picture. Imagine you're looking at a massive puzzle, but you only have a handful of pieces. You're trying to force them together, but nothing seems to fit. That's life when you rely only on your own understanding. But God, He sees the whole puzzle. He knows where every piece belongs. And if you just trust Him, He will guide you to exactly where you're meant to be. So when things don't go your way, don't get frustrated. Get excited, because it means God is leading you somewhere even better than you imagined. The closed door, it's protection. The delay, it's preparation. The setback, it's a setup for something greater. 4, trust transforms your mindset. When you trust God, you stop living in fear. You stop letting doubt poison your potential. Instead, you start moving with confidence. You start seeing obstacles as opportunities. You start expecting miracles instead of disasters. And let me tell you something. When you trust Him, when you walk by faith, when you lean into His plan, you will experience breakthroughs, blessings, and a level of peace you've never known before. So here's my challenge for you. Let go. Stop holding on to the fear, the doubt, the need to control every detail. Instead, choose to trust. Trust that God is working behind the scenes. Trust that He's setting you up for something incredible. Trust that He loves you too much to let you fail. Because when you do, your life will never be the same again. We like to believe we are in control of our lives. We plan, strategize, and work tirelessly to shape our future. We convince ourselves that if we do everything right, if we put in enough effort, if we make the right decisions, then things will go exactly as we intend. But life has a way of humbling even the most prepared, the most disciplined, and the most determined among us. One moment, everything seems to be falling into place, and the next, a single unexpected event can change everything. A business collapses, a relationship ends, a sudden illness appears, a loved one is taken away too soon. In those moments, the illusion of control shatters, and we are left with a sobering truth. We are never truly in control to begin with. This realization can be terrifying or freeing depending on your perspective. The world teaches us that control is power, that if we can just manage every detail of our lives, we can avoid pain, failure, and disappointment. But the reality is that no amount of control can prevent life from happening. We can do everything right and still experience hardship. We can prepare for every possible scenario and still be caught off guard. We can try to manipulate outcomes, but we will always be limited by our human perspective. No matter how much we plan, we cannot control other people's actions. We cannot control every circumstance, and we certainly cannot control the timing of events in our lives. When we cling to control, we place an immense burden on ourselves. We exhaust our energy trying to force things to happen the way we want, and when they don't, we feel frustrated, anxious, and even defeated. We question ourselves, wondering if we missed something, if we made a mistake, if we should have worked harder. We replay situations in our minds, thinking about what we could have done differently, as if we had the power to dictate every outcome. This kind of thinking leads to stress, burnout, and an overwhelming sense of failure. It can make us feel like we are constantly chasing something that is just out of reach, always striving but never arriving, always working but never resting. The truth is, the more we try to control, the more we realize how little control we actually have. And that is not a weakness. That is the reality of being human. But the good news is that there is someone who is in control, someone who sees what we cannot see, someone who knows the past, present, and future. That someone is God. While we see only a fraction of the picture, he sees the entire masterpiece. While we focus on what is in front of us, he understands how every moment fits together in a way that serves a greater purpose. While we struggle to make sense of our circumstances, he is already working behind the scenes, orchestrating events for our good. When we trust that God is in control, we release ourselves from the exhausting cycle of worry and anxiety. We no longer have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders because we know that there is a greater power at work. This does not mean that life will always be easy or that we will never face challenges. What it does mean is that we do not have to face them alone. It means that when things do not go according to our plans, we can have peace knowing that they are still going according to his plan. It means that instead of fearing the unknown, we can step forward in faith, knowing that God has already gone ahead of us. Trusting in God's control does not make us passive, it makes us powerful. It allows us to move through life with confidence rather than fear. It gives us the ability to take action without being paralyzed by the need to control every outcome. It frees us from the fear of failure, because we understand that even when things do not go the way we expected, they are still serving a purpose. We can pursue our goals, build our dreams, and take bold steps forward without being consumed by worry. We can surrender our need to control and instead embrace faith, knowing that God's plans are always greater than our own. One of the greatest sources of fear in life is uncertainty. We fear what we do not know, and we fear what we cannot predict. But uncertainty only becomes overwhelming when we believe that we are the ones responsible for making everything work out. When we recognize that God is the one in control, uncertainty loses its power over us. We may not know what the future holds, but we know who holds the future. And if we truly believe that God is good, that he loves us, and that he has a plan for us, then we have no reason to fear. Many people resist surrendering control because they believe that trusting God means giving up on their own efforts. But trust is not about inaction, it is about alignment. It is about aligning our will with God's will, our plans with his plans, our timing with his timing. When we trust him, we still take action, but we do so with faith rather than fear. We still make decisions, but we do so with wisdom rather than worry. We still pursue success, but we do so with the understanding that true success is not measured by worldly achievements, but by living in alignment with God's purpose for our lives. Think about a pilot flying through a storm. He cannot control the weather, but he can trust in his instruments. He cannot change the turbulence, but he can follow the guidance of air traffic control. He does not panic because he knows that even though the storm is unpredictable, there is a plan in place to guide him safely through it. Our lives are the same way. We cannot control every storm we face, but we can trust in God's direction. We can trust that He will guide us through whatever comes our way. When we surrender control to God, we gain something far greater: peace. Peace that is not dependent on circumstances. Peace that remains steady even in the face of challenges. Peace that allows us to move forward with confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, we are held in the hands of the one who knows exactly what He is doing. The world tells us that success is about control, but true success is about surrender. True success is about recognizing that we are part of a greater story, one that is written by the creator of the universe. It is about understanding that our job is not to control every detail, but to trust the one who does. It is about embracing faith, knowing that we are exactly where we are meant to be, and that every challenge, every detour, every unexpected twist is leading us to something greater than we could have planned for ourselves. God's control does not mean we will never experience pain or hardship. But it does mean that our pain is never wasted. It means that even in our lowest moments, there is a purpose. It means that even when we do not understand what is happening, God is still working. It means that we can release our grip on fear and instead hold on to faith. When we let go of control, we do not lose power. We gain freedom, freedom from anxiety, freedom from the pressure to have everything figured out, freedom to live with joy, knowing that we are not alone in this journey. Freedom to embrace the life God has planned for us without being weighed down by the need to make everything happen on our own. So the question is, are you willing to let go? Are you willing to stop carrying burdens that were never meant for you? Are you willing to trade stress for peace, fear for faith, and control for trust? Life often feels like a puzzle, one that we are desperately trying to put together. We gather pieces, searching for the ones that fit, hoping to see the full picture. But no matter how hard we try, we never seem to have all the pieces at once. Some pieces make sense, while others seem completely out of place. Some moments feel perfect, like they fit exactly where they are supposed to, while others leave us confused, wondering why they happened at all. We do our best to make sense of it, to connect the dots, to create meaning from the experiences we go through. But no matter how hard we try, we always seem to be missing something. We see only a fragment of what is really happening. There are times when life feels perfectly aligned, when things are going exactly as planned, and it seems like everything is working in our favor. These are the moments when we feel in control, when we believe that our efforts are paying off, when we are confident in the path ahead. But then, suddenly, something unexpected happens. A door that seemed wide open suddenly slams shut. A relationship that felt unshakable falls apart. An opportunity we worked so hard for disappears without warning. These moments shake us. They make us question everything. We wonder where we went wrong, what we could have done differently, why things didn't work out the way we expected. We feel frustrated, lost, and sometimes even betrayed by life itself. But what if the problem isn't that things are going wrong? What if the problem is that we are looking at the puzzle from the wrong perspective? When we try to understand life from our limited view, we only see the scattered pieces. We focus on the things that don't make sense, the setbacks that seem unnecessary, the pain that feels unfair. We convince ourselves that if we could just get a better look at the full picture, everything would make sense. But that is the very thing we are not meant to do. Because while we only see a small portion, God sees the entire masterpiece. While we are focused on a single piece, He understands how every piece connects. While we question why things are happening, He knows exactly how it will all come together in the end. When a piece of the puzzle doesn't seem to fit, it is easy to assume that something is wrong. We feel frustrated, thinking we must have made a mistake. But just because something doesn't make sense now, doesn't mean it won't make sense later. Sometimes what looks like a dead end is actually a redirection. What feels like a loss is actually protection. What seems like a delay is actually preparation. The problem is that we often judge the outcome too soon. We decide that something is bad simply because it is painful, that something is a mistake simply because it is difficult, that something is a failure simply because it didn't happen the way we planned. But if we could see what God sees, we would realize that even the moments that feel the most confusing are playing a role in something far greater than we can comprehend. Think about a story. When you are in the middle of reading a book or watching a movie, there are moments when things don't make sense. A character makes a decision that seems unnecessary. A situation unfolds that feels unfair. A challenge appears that seems impossible to overcome. But the reason these moments don't make sense is because the story isn't over yet. The author knows exactly where everything is leading. The plot is unfolding in a way that serves a purpose, even when the characters don't understand it yet. Life is the same way. When something doesn't make sense, it is not because it has no meaning. It is because the story is still being written. It is human nature to seek control, to want answers, to desire certainty. We want to know why things happen, when things will change, how everything will turn out. We want to be able to connect all the dots in real time. But that is not how life works. Trusting God means accepting that we are not the ones writing the story. It means choosing to believe that He knows what He is doing, even when we don't understand. It means having faith that what feels like confusion now will one day be clear. There are moments when we think we know what is best for us. We have our own ideas, our own timelines, our own expectations. But what we think we need is often very different from what we actually need. Sometimes what we are so desperately chasing would actually lead us away from where we are meant to be. Sometimes the things we think will bring us happiness would actually bring us harm. Sometimes the plans we create for ourselves would limit us rather than expand us. When God says no, when He removes something from our lives, when He closes a door we wanted to walk through, it is not to hurt us, it is to guide us. What feels like rejection is often redirection. What feels like an unanswered prayer is often a greater blessing in disguise. When we only look at life from our own perspective, we make assumptions based on what we can see. We assume that success means we are on the right path, and struggle means we have taken a wrong turn. But the truth is, some of the greatest lessons, the most important growth, the most life-changing breakthroughs come from the seasons that make the least sense. The most difficult moments are often the ones that shape us the most. The setbacks that seem like failures often turn into the biggest blessings. The experiences that feel unfair are often the ones that build the strength we need for what is coming next. There will always be things we do not understand. There will always be moments that make us question why certain things are happening. But instead of demanding answers, we need to learn to trust. Instead of trying to control everything, we need to learn to surrender. Instead of resisting what we do not understand, we need to embrace the fact that we are not meant to understand everything. Faith is not about having all the answers. It is about trusting that God does. It is about choosing to believe that there is a greater plan at work even when we cannot see it. It is about understanding that just because we do not see the full picture yet does not mean the picture is not beautiful. It is about having the patience to let things unfold in the right time, in the right way, according to a plan that is far greater than anything we could create for ourselves. The moments that confuse us the most are often the ones that lead to the greatest clarity later. The situations that feel unfair now often make perfect sense in hindsight. The things we once questioned often become the very things we are most grateful for. But we cannot see any of that in the moment. In the moment, all we see is a puzzle piece that does not seem to fit. But just because we cannot see the full picture does not mean it is not there. God sees what we cannot see. He understands what we do not understand. He knows what is coming, what is needed, what is best. When we trust Him, we stop fighting against what we do not understand. We stop resisting the unknown. We stop fearing the future. We learn to let go of the need for constant clarity and instead embrace the peace that comes from knowing that we are being guided. We do not have to have all the answers to move forward. We do not have to understand everything to keep going. We do not have to see the whole picture to trust that it is good. Life has a way of throwing challenges at us when we least expect them. Just when we think we have everything under control, something happens that shakes our foundation. A financial setback, a health crisis, a broken relationship, an unexpected loss. These moments leave us feeling vulnerable, uncertain, and often afraid. We ask ourselves why. We wonder what we did wrong, what we could have done differently, and how we're supposed to move forward when everything seems to be falling apart. The natural response to hardship is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of what's next. But fear is a liar. It distorts reality. It convinces us that we are alone, that we are not strong enough, that there is no way out. It blinds us to the truth that we are never alone, that we are stronger than we realize, and that no situation is beyond redemption. Trusting God means rejecting the lies that fear tries to feed us. It means choosing faith over doubt, choosing hope over despair, choosing confidence over hesitation. It means understanding that just because we cannot see the way forward does not mean there is no way forward. When fear takes over, it paralyzes us. It keeps us stuck, questioning everything, afraid to take a step because we don't know what will happen next. But faith moves. Faith pushes forward even when the path is unclear. Faith says, I may not have all the answers, but I know the one who does. Faith is not about ignoring reality. It is about understanding that there is a greater reality beyond what we can see. Many people believe that trusting in God means everything will always go smoothly, that faith will eliminate hardship, that believing in His plan will remove all obstacles. But that is not how life works. Faith does not prevent difficulties. It gives us the strength to get through them. It does not mean we will never face storms. It means we will never face them alone. It does not mean we will always understand why things happen. It means we will trust that there is a reason even when we don't see it. Hardships are not a sign that God has abandoned us. They are not proof that we are on the wrong path. Sometimes they are the very things that shape us, refine us, and prepare us for what is coming next. Think about the times in life when you grew the most. The moments that changed you, that strengthened you, that transformed your perspective. Were they moments of ease or were they moments of struggle? Growth rarely happens in comfort. Strength is not built without resistance. Character is not developed without challenges. The very things we try so hard to avoid, the struggles, the disappointments, the uncertainties, are often the things that shape us into the people we are meant to become. Trusting God means embracing the process. It means understanding that just because something is difficult does not mean it is wrong. It means having the faith to believe that even in the middle of the storm, there is a purpose. When we trust in God, we stop viewing struggles as punishments and start seeing them as opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to learn, to develop resilience. We stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? We stop focusing on what we have lost and start focusing on what we can gain. We stop letting fear dictate our actions and start letting faith lead the way. It is easy to have faith when everything is going well. It is easy to trust when there are no obstacles, no setbacks, no uncertainty. But true faith is tested in the difficult moments. True trust is built when we continue to move forward even when everything inside of us wants to stop. People often look at successful individuals and assume their journey was easy. They see the results but not the struggles. They see the victories but not the battles. But if you ask anyone who has accomplished something great, they will tell you the road was not smooth. They faced setbacks, they experienced failures, they had moments of doubt. The difference is that they did not let those moments define them. They did not let the struggles convince them to quit. They did not let fear hold them back. They kept moving forward even when they could not see the full picture. They trusted that the challenges were not meant to break them, but to build them. Trusting God means believing that nothing is wasted. No struggle, no pain, no difficulty is meaningless. Every experience is shaping us, teaching us, preparing us. Sometimes the very thing we think is holding us back is actually setting us up for something greater. Sometimes the setback we are so frustrated by is actually protecting us from something we cannot see. Sometimes the path we are forced to take, even when it is not the one we would have chosen, is leading us exactly where we are meant to be. But we will never know that if we give up too soon. We will never see the full picture if we stop in the middle of the process. Fear thrives on uncertainty. It whispers that if we do not know exactly what will happen, we should not take the risk. It tells us that if we cannot see the outcome, we should not move forward. But faith says, move anyway. Faith says, trust the process. Faith says, even though I do not know what is ahead, I know who is leading me. Trusting God means stepping forward even when the next step is unclear. It means refusing to let fear keep us stagnant. It means knowing that even when we cannot see the full road, He has already mapped out the destination. There will always be reasons to doubt. There will always be reasons to hesitate. There will always be moments when fear tries to convince us that we are not ready, that we are not capable, that we should wait until we have more clarity, more certainty, more control. But that is not how faith works. Faith is stepping forward before we have all the answers. It is making the decision to trust, even when nothing makes sense. It is believing that even when life feels chaotic, there is a plan at work. It is understanding that just because we do not feel strong does not mean we are not strong. The people who accomplish the most in life are not the ones who never face struggles. They're the ones who refuse to let struggle stop them. They are the ones who push through the fear, the doubt, the uncertainty. They are the ones who keep going even when the odds are against them. They are the ones who trust that every challenge is an opportunity, every setback is a lesson, every obstacle is a stepping stone. They are the ones who understand that just because things are difficult now does not mean they will be difficult forever. There will always be unknowns. There will always be moments when we question whether we are on the right path. There will always be situations that make us wonder why things are happening the way they are. But trusting God means knowing that we do not need to have all the answers. It means understanding that our job is not to figure out every detail. It is to take the next step in faith. It means believing that even when we cannot see the whole picture, the picture is still being created. It means recognizing that fear is a liar and faith is the key to breaking through every limitation. When we choose to trust, we choose to move forward despite the uncertainty. We choose to believe in possibilities instead of limitations. We choose to focus on what is ahead instead of what is behind. We choose to let faith lead the way, knowing that even in the hardest moments, we are never alone. There comes a point in life when we all face moments that test us to our core. Moments when we feel abandoned, when our prayers seem unanswered, when the road ahead looks impossible to navigate. We try to be strong, we try to push through, we try to keep moving forward, but deep down we feel exhausted. The weight of disappointment, failure, and uncertainty sits heavy on our shoulders. In these moments, it is easy to question everything. It is easy to wonder if there is a purpose behind the struggle, if the pain we feel will ever serve a greater good, if the things we have lost will ever be restored. The human mind craves answers, craves certainty, craves control. And when life does not unfold the way we expect, we begin to doubt. But doubt is not the opposite of faith. Doubt is an opportunity to trust on a deeper level. Trust is not built in moments of clarity and ease. Trust is built when we continue to believe, even when we do not see the full picture. Trusting God means holding on when everything around us is telling us to let go. It means refusing to let fear dictate our future. It means understanding that just because we cannot see the way does not mean there is no way. Life often does not go according to our plans. We set goals, we make timelines, we work hard, and still, things do not always unfold the way we envision. We expect success, but face setbacks. We expect healing, but experience pain. We expect open doors, but encounter closed ones. When this happens, we tend to assume something is wrong, that we have failed, that we are not on the right path. But what if the obstacles we face are not roadblocks, but redirections? What if the things that seem like losses are actually stepping stones towards something greater? What if the things that feel like delays are actually moments of preparation? Trusting God means believing that nothing happens by accident. It means knowing that every challenge, every disappointment, every unexpected turn is part of a bigger plan. It means surrendering our need for control and embracing the journey as it unfolds. We spend so much of our lives trying to force things to happen on our own timeline. We push, we strive, we exhaust ourselves trying to make things work according to our expectations. And when things do not happen the way we want, we feel defeated. But what if we stopped striving and started trusting? What if we let go of the need to control every detail and instead believe that everything is happening exactly as it is meant to? What if we understood that sometimes the things we fight so hard to hold on to are the very things that are holding us back? Trusting God means recognizing that His timing is always better than ours. It means understanding that just because something has not happened yet does not mean it will never happen. It means believing that what is meant for us will not pass us by. There are moments in life when we feel completely alone. Moments when we look around and feel like no one understands, like no one sees the struggle we are going through, like no one truly knows the depth of our pain. In these moments, it is easy to believe that we have been forgotten, that we are insignificant, that our struggles do not matter. But trust reminds us that we are never alone. Trust reminds us that even when we feel unseen, we are fully known. Trust reminds us that even when we feel unheard, every prayer, every tear, every unspoken word is seen and acknowledged. Trusting God means knowing that we are deeply loved, that we are not just another person in the crowd, that our journey matters. It means believing that even when we do not feel it, we are always held. One of the hardest things about trusting God is accepting that sometimes His answer is not what we want to hear. Sometimes we pray for things that do not come to pass. Sometimes we work towards something only to see it slip through our fingers. Sometimes we believe so deeply that something is meant for us only to watch it fall apart. In these moments, it is easy to feel rejected. It is easy to feel forgotten. It is easy to believe that if our prayers were not answered the way we hoped, then maybe they were never heard at all. But trust means knowing that when God says no, it is not rejection. It is redirection. It is protection. It is preparation. It is setting us up for something that we may not understand in the moment, but will one day look back on and see with perfect clarity. We often focus so much on what we have lost that we fail to see what we are gaining. We spend so much time mourning closed doors that we do not realize new doors are opening right in front of us. We get stuck in disappointment, replaying moments in our minds, wondering what we could have done differently, convinced that if things had just gone the way we wanted, we would be happy, we would be happy, we would be happy, we would be happy. It just things don't happen that way. But we would think that we would have been happier. Happiness comes from knowing that we are exactly where we are meant to be. Trusting God means shifting our perspective. It means focusing not on what we lack, but on what we have. It means choosing to see possibilities instead of limitations. It means recognizing that even in the moments that feel like endings, something new is beginning. Pain is one of the greatest teachers in life. It refines us, strengthens us, shapes us into who we are meant to be. But pain also has the power to break us if we let it. When we go through difficulties, we have a choice. We can either let those experiences define us, keep us stuck in bitterness and resentment, convince us that life is unfair and that we will never move forward, or we can use those experiences to grow. We can use them to develop resilience, to cultivate wisdom, to build a deeper sense of faith. Trusting God means believing that even our hardest moments are serving a purpose. It means knowing that our struggles are not wasted. It means understanding that even when we do not see the purpose, it is there. Fear is the enemy of trust. Fear tells us to doubt. Fear tells us to give up. Fear tells us that if we do not have all the answers, we are not ready to move forward. But trust says to keep going. Trust says that even if we do not see the whole road, we can take the next step. Trust says that even if we do not understand why something is happening, we can believe that there is a reason. Fear will always try to hold us back. It will always try to convince us to stay where we are, to settle for less, to avoid taking risks. But trust requires courage. It requires stepping out in faith. It requires moving forward even when everything inside of us wants to stay in our comfort zone. Trusting God is not about having all the answers. It is about believing that we do not need all the answers to move forward. It is about choosing to have faith even when nothing makes sense. It is about knowing that even when life feels unpredictable, there is a greater plan unfolding. It is about surrendering our need to control and instead embracing the journey with open hands. Trusting God does not mean life will be easy, but it does mean we will never walk alone. It does not mean we will never face struggles, but it does mean we will always have the strength to overcome them. It does not mean we will never feel lost, but it does mean we will always be guided. It means knowing that even in the hardest moments, we are being led towards something greater than we can imagine.